What if I told you there was a new piece of AI tech that could literally tell you exactly what is wrong with your plant, why, and what you need to do to get it healthy again, and it was completely free? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you some mind-blowing new technology that is not only changing the plant care world beyond what we could imagine, but also transforming the world itself. Seriously, this may be the biggest change in tech the world has ever seen since the introduction of the internet all those years ago. And us plant parents will benefit enormously, so much so that plant YouTubers like me may even become redundant. And I just had to share this with you because I think it has the potential to transform the way you look after your plants, and all it involves is simply opening up a web browser on your computer and going to chat.openai.com. And there you will find ChatGPT. But what the hell is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a new artificial intelligence interface that is taking the world by storm. I'm sure you will have heard of it on the news and online by now because the world and its dog is talking about it. And do let me know in the comments if you've come across this before. To summarise though, it's a natural language processing tool driven by artificial intelligence that allows you to have a human-like conversation with a chatbot. You can pretty much ask this thing anything and it'll give you a detailed response as if you were talking to a human. You can ask this thing to code a website for you, ask it how to cook a steak to medium rare, ask it to write you a poem, or even to write you a script for a YouTube video. And no, this video hasn't been written by AI, I promise. The possibilities with ChatGPT are endless, and us keen plant parents can add this remarkable tool to our toolkit when looking after our plants. While it does have search interface, don't think of this like Google. It's not even Google on steroids. It's so much more than that. It can even be seen as a threat to Google's dominance in the search tech industry. In fact, ChatGPT has been invested in heavily by Microsoft to the tune of billions of dollars, so it does have a large player as a financial backer. So how does it all work? Well, with Google, you might enter a search term like, "Why is my Monstera turning yellow?" And Google will provide you with a list of websites that it thinks will match your query and answer your question. You would then go on each web page and read some articles about why Monsteras turn yellow. You might even watch a couple of YouTube videos. But this can be pretty time consuming if you just want a quick answer and you don't always get what you want. And this is where ChatGPT comes in. The difference with ChatGPT is that it answers your question directly as if you'd asked a friend or even a plant professional. So let's see how it does that in practice and be prepared to be blown away. So I asked it that very question I just mentioned. Why is my Monstera turning yellow? It gives a solid answer about the possible reasons why my Monstera might be turning yellow, such as overwatering, underwatering, or a lack of proper nutrition, in a clear and succinct way. Pretty impressive. It then further explains that pests and disease can cause this issue before telling me it needs more information before it can answer my question properly. Fair enough. So far we have a pretty strong answer that will get me on my way to solving my Monstera puzzle. But this next bit is where it all gets really interesting, because I can now essentially have a conversation with it. You see, it remembers my initial query, its own answer to my query, and then any subsequent interaction we might have as if it's a human. It's pretty remarkable, and let me show you how. So I followed up with this question to give it a context it was asking for. And I entered, it is located in a south-facing window and gets 6 hours of direct sun a day. The soil is not wet, but there are quite a few roots in the pot. Now I think this is a pretty realistic description of the symptoms I or anyone else might be facing with a yellowing plant. And look at the answer it gives back. This is no mere search engine, my plant friends, this is the future. This is proper AI responding to my questions in a thoughtful way, and I absolutely love it. So it says, based on the information you've provided, your plant is probably getting too much light. And then goes on to accurately describe the light requirements for this plant. It's pretty much spot on. It continues by explaining that my plant may be root bound and even gives me a recommendation of what I should do next. Google doesn't do this, but I wanted to test it further and see what else I could get out of it. So I asked, where is the best place for it? And look at the answer it gave me. It talks about the plant preferring bright indirect light and a north and east facing spot being ideal. It even recommends grow lights if I don't have adequate sunlight for the plant. This sounds like me in one of my videos. But it's not finished there. It talks about having to keep an eye on humidity and temperature. And remember folks, this was completely unscripted. I didn't even ask about this, but it offered this information to me because it thought I would find it useful, and it is. Hopefully, you can see that the possibilities with this new AI are endless for us plant parents. Next, I asked it to give me a feed schedule for my Monstera with recommendations for fertilizer based in the UK. It gave a really solid response with a very credible fertilizer schedule for my plant that will certainly be good for the plant. It knew that I shouldn't fertilize during the winter and told me the reasons why. Again, this is something I bang on about on this channel. It then warned me about dosage and the risks of fertilizer root burn, something I often talk about on this channel, as well as giving me tips on what to look out for when choosing my fertilizer. A balanced 20-20-20 feed is certainly something I can get behind and use with all my houseplants, so I think it got that spot on. This is all great information for a beginner plant parent who doesn't know the best way to look after their Monstera. So it's pretty clear this AI knows its Monsteras pretty well, so what else can this thing do? Well, have you got a plant in your home that you have no idea what it's called? I know I do. Well, ChatGPT can help. Give it a description of the plant and it'll offer possible names of plants. Not happy with the answer? Then tell it and it'll give a different answer. So I described the plant to ChatGPT and asked it what it thought it was. It offered a Dracaena, but that wasn't the plant I was looking for, so I said in a fairly rude way, it's not that plant. It thought for a little while, apologised for the confusion, which I loved, and offered me the fiddle leaf fig or umbrella tree as possibilities, which I thought was close enough because I was actually thinking about a Ficus elastica. I then presented it with a problem that is pretty common in the houseplant world, fine webbing underneath a couple of the leaves of my Ficus elastica, and asked it what it thought it was. And the answer it gave me kind of blew my mind because it was so detailed and thoughtful. It correctly identified spider mites as being the likely cause, but it didn't stop there. It talked about what they are, why they're so difficult to spot, the damage they cause, and then even a treatment for the plant to get rid of them. You see, this really is the power of this AI. It's going to put me out of a job. Not only does it answer your question, but it also thinks about ways it can offer extra value by advising you on things you're probably not thought of. God, I'm screwed. So here's another nifty little trick this thing can do. Say you want to know about a plant, a jade plant for example. Normally you might search jade plant in Wikipedia and it returns a long article all about that plant. Now, in my opinion, life is just too short to sit there for half an hour reading all that. So what do? You copy the text and paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize. And it comes back with a perfectly succinct paragraph summarizing all the main points in the Wikipedia article that takes only a couple of minutes of reading at most. You just saved yourself so much time. A common problem that I talk about a lot on my channel is brown tips on the leaves of plants. I've made videos about this specifically on Califea and spider plants. So what does ChatGPT know about this issue? Does it align with what I've discussed in my videos? Well, as you can see, it pretty much covers all the main points. It talks about over and under watering, low humidity, temperature, but most impressively, it talks about the dangers of tap water. This is great because it's a fairly little known problem in the plant world. Most folks think browning leaves is all to do with humidity, but those of us in the know it's more about the water we use. So it's not just bringing us basic information that everyone knows, it's going beyond. But here's a warning, ChatGPT isn't perfect. It doesn't get every single thing right. It's been known to make mistakes, and it even says this on the main homepage. So you still have to use some judgment, and if something sounds iffy, then simply question it. It will more than likely correct itself. But this software is only in its infancy. It's only just been released to the public, and it will get even better than its current state. And I think it's already pretty remarkable. Another thing you might come across when trying to access ChatGPT is saying that it's at capacity and preventing you from going on. An easy workaround to this is just to repeatedly hit the refresh button on your browser until it takes you back to the login screen. It normally only takes about 30 seconds at the most. Another limitation in the software is that it can be a little bit vanilla. And what I mean by that is that it often offers the safe options. It doesn't really put its neck on the line. I asked it for some houseplant hacks as I was looking for inspiration for a video on this channel, and the list it gave me is pretty good, but I know we can do much better than this. And that's exactly what I did by coming up with 9 awesome plant hacks that you can't find on ChatGPT that you can watch by clicking on the link here.